7 reasons why Gemini will always be torn between two selves. Gemini isn't two-faced. They're two selves. And that truth runs deeper than most people realize. On the surface, they're social, clever, and curious. But inside, they're constantly pulled in different directions. Half of them wants to stay and feel everything. The other half is already halfway out the door pretending nothing happened. In this video, I'll break down 7 reasons why Gemini will always feel torn between their thoughts and their emotions, their freedom and their loyalty, their masks and their truth. If you're a Gemini or you've ever loved one, leave a comment. Reason number 7 explains the one thing Gemini silently hopes someone will finally understand. Reason 1. Their mind moves faster than their emotions can keep up. Gemini thinks fast. Their mind is sharp, curious, and always ahead of the moment. They can hold a conversation, plan their next move, and analyze a situation all at once. But when it comes to emotions, it's slower. Not because they don't feel, but because they don't know how to pause long enough to let it all sink in. They often out-talk their own feelings. Before they even recognize what they're feeling, they've already rationalized it away. One side tells them just move on. The other lingers on the ache. And they swing back and forth between those voices, questioning which one is telling the truth. The result? They feel emotionally delayed, always unpacking the moment after it's already passed, in silence, when it's too late to explain what it meant to them. Reason 2. They want freedom, but they also crave deep connection. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, the planet of movement and communication. They thrive on variety, independence, and change. But what most people don't see is how deeply they also long for intimacy. Not surface-level connection, real closeness. A relationship where they can be fully seen, flaws and all. Here's where the tension begins. Part of them fears that true connection will cost them their sense of freedom. That being with someone might mean losing themselves, but choosing freedom all the time leaves them lonely. So they toggle, getting close, then drifting, opening up, then pulling back. They're not playing games. They're trying to survive the contradiction between wanting someone to understand them and wanting space to breathe. Reason 3. They feel too much but rarely show it. People see Gemini as lighthearted, witty, maybe even emotionally aloof. But what they don't realize is how much Gemini hides beneath that easygoing exterior. They feel everything: pain, anxiety, joy, love. But they rarely let it show. Humor becomes their shield. Charm becomes their armor. They deflect with conversation, redirect with curiosity. And when things hit too close to the heart, they pivot. Not because they don't care, but because letting someone see what's behind the mask feels like giving away too much. Deep down, they're constantly navigating the tension between the part of them that longs to be understood and the part that's terrified no one ever truly will. Reason 4. One side believes in people, the other trusts no one. Gemini is curious about people. They're the type to ask you questions no one else thinks to ask, to truly try to understand your layers. They want to believe the best in others, and for a while they do. But they've been burned, misunderstood, called too much or not enough. So now there's this split. One part of them still wants to believe people are good. The other has built walls, scanning for red flags and preparing for disappointment. They open up easily, but retreat just as fast. Not to confuse you, but because deep trust has become a high-stakes risk. And if they suddenly go quiet, it's not to punish. It's their way of protecting what's still soft inside. Reason 5. They're always torn between staying and escaping, even when they love someone, even in friendships or places they once called home. Gemini often feels like a part of them is always on the edge, waiting for the signal to run. It's not detachment, it's instinct. A habit born from years of being misunderstood, judged, or told to shrink themselves. So even when they feel like they belong, another voice in their head whispers, "Don't settle. Don't get too attached." And that voice doesn't go away. They can be present, laughing, loving, and still be halfway out the door, already scanning the exits in case they need to protect themselves. Reason 6. They're not lying. They're just split between truths. People call Gemini inconsistent, say they're confusing, maybe even manipulative, but they're not dishonest. They're just capable of living with multiple truths at once. They can love someone and still wonder if it's right. They can miss someone terribly and still know they need space. They can fully believe in someone, while quietly questioning if that belief will be safe in the long run. Each of these truths feels real in the moment, and that's what makes it so hard. When they shift or seem to contradict themselves, it's not about deception. It's about navigating their own internal contradictions in real time, without a clear map. Reason 7. They want to be understood but fear being known too well. This one runs deep. Gemini wants to be seen, but only in the light they choose. They want to be understood, but not exposed. They dream of someone getting them fully, without them having to spell it all out. But the idea of being fully figured out? It terrifies them. Because when someone sees all of them, they're no longer mysterious. They're vulnerable, predictable. That kind of closeness feels both comforting and dangerous. So they allow people near, but only so far. They'll share stories, jokes, insights, even secrets. But when things get too real, they pull back. Because in a world that wants to reduce them to one identity, they're afraid that being truly known might mean being boxed in. Being a Gemini means living in constant motion between logic and emotion, freedom and closeness, thought and feeling. It's not an act. It's not a flaw. It's the truth of someone who carries more than one version of themselves at all times and doesn't want to choose just one. So if you're a Gemini, stop trying to fix yourself. You're not broken, you're complex, layered, expansive. If someone wants to love you, they don't just get one piece. They get the whole spectrum. The thinker, the feeler, the wanderer, the lover, because this isn't about being two-faced. It's about surviving in a world that only accepts one.